Hello, and thank you for joining us today for the 2020-2021 Regional On My Way Pre-K Provider Meeting recording. This is a recording of the meetings that we've been doing throughout the state in February of 2020 to get programs ready for our On My Way Pre-K 2020-2021 enrollment cycle. We're sorry you couldn't join us at our meetings. We were able to introduce some of our partners, our project managers, our eligibility office staff that are new in many of the areas, and then some of our policy staff and CCR&R and TA support individuals. But we'll have an opportunity to get those people introduced also at another time. My name is Beth Barrett. I'm the Pre-K Director at the Office of Early Childhood and Out of School Learning, and will be the presenter today for this webinar. Wanted to spend just a few minutes talking about the 2019-2020 highlights. We were very excited to enroll 3,517 children this year, and we thank many of you for that. We know many are enrolled in your programs, and you also encourage those families to enroll. So we were very excited that we met that goal for this year. Sorry, this is a little blurry, but it's actually a picture of the web page that we now have available that you can go on and check the enrollment throughout the state of where children are actually enrolled. What is posted now is this year's enrollment for 2019-2020. So you can see on the map, the yellowish green counties are our original 5 counties. And then the orange counties are those expansion counties that joined us in 2017. And then the rest of the state, the blue counties, are the ones that were added as of April of 2019, when the legislators said all counties are now eligible. And then on the left-hand side, there's an actual breakdown of the number within each of those counties. This is an interactive map, and if you hover over your county, you can get more information. You can get by month enrollment, things like that. But we were pretty excited, especially since we didn't find out until April, and we were already starting our enrollment cycle, that we were able to enroll in 72 of the 92 counties for this year. So we thought that was a great accomplishment for the 1920 pre-K year. You can find this map and information at onmywayprek.org, and then down towards the bottom where it says county enrollment totals, you can see it there. Click on that and get to this page. So we will be updating that as we move forward with enrollment. So these totals will remain on here, and then there'll be a new page for the 2020-2021 school year. These are always updated at the first of the month for the previous month. So there won't be anything for the 2020-2021 school year until probably May, and show those April enrollment totals. Another really great statistic that we have found since the inception of On My Way Pre-K is there's been a 92% increase in high quality early care and education programs statewide in Indiana. So when we started in 2014, there were 804 level 3 and 4 programs in Paths to Quality through statewide, and in 2019 there's 1,546, and that was at the beginning of 2019, and now that we're into 2020, there's even more. So that number's probably increased even more. So we're very excited that this has really led to this increase, because when you think about it, it's not just the On My Way Pre-K children that are benefiting from this, but all children in that program, whatever ages that program is serving, are getting the benefits and reaping the benefits of a higher quality program. So that's very exciting. We also are growing in our number of providers for On My Way Pre-K. When we put this slide deck together, the end of January of 2020, there were 916 approved On My Way Pre-K programs. We are always accepting applications for providers if they're a level 3 or 4 in PAS to quality. So if you know of other programs that might be interested, please send them our way. Our goal is to reach around 1,000 this year. So we want to make sure that there are lots and lots of opportunities and choices for parents throughout the state. You'll notice many of these counties only have 1 or 2 providers that have been approved. So we definitely want to make sure that those families have lots of choices of where they can send their children for pre-K. The other thing that we've really been able to maintain throughout the longevity of the program is our mixed delivery system. So again, when we look at all of our On My Way pre-K providers throughout the state, you can see that we have programs from every type, like home licensed, center licensed, ministries, public schools, private schools. So families really do have that choice of where they send their child and are able to pick the program that best meets their needs as a family. Couple of initiatives that we've kind of updated for the 1920 school year were our texting and Facebook initiatives. We worked with a company to help us with our texting. In 1819, we did some texting with our project managers, but it was all manual and very time-consuming for them. But we found it extremely helpful. The families really responded well to text messages, and we were able to enroll more families and help them through the process, answering their questions and helping them get what they needed. So we worked with this company this year to help us do some mass texting for the things that we wanted to say to everybody, and to kind of free up some of the time for the project managers to work with those families that needed more intensive work. Over almost 14,000 individuals viewed our welcome text and video that we sent. We had the project managers do a little video introducing themselves and how to get in touch with them, just to make it a little more personable so they could put names and faces together if they chose to watch the video. And so obviously a lot of families chose to do that. And the videos really helped those who were enrolling early to get that information. Then we sent almost over 118,000 text messages over the enrollment cycle from March until October. Just reminding families, thank you for applying. These are the next steps, reminding them of their appointments and different things like that. So we definitely flooded this airwaves with our text messages out. And we did a little pilot in 3 counties, in Tippecanoe, Howard, and Grant County. We had a calendar online where families could go in, and if they needed to change their appointment or make an appointment with their intake for to complete their voucher, they could do it online right there on the calendar. So they could pick the date and the time that was easiest or best for them, that they could work around their schedule. And we had over 600 families to do that. So I think it definitely, being in those 3 small counties, was something that they found very useful and helpful. And because of that, I'm very excited to say that all families statewide will have that opportunity this year, because all of our intake offices will have available that calendar option for appointments online for families to schedule or change their appointments. So we're very excited that we were able to pilot that and find out that families were able to use it and move forward and make it available for everyone this year. For our Facebook page, first of all, we were just very excited to get a Facebook page because as a state agency, that's not always the easiest thing to do. And we've tried to really keep this as an informational type page where we can post updates of things that are happening. And then we've also used it just to kind of share some really positive stories about what's going on in pre-K. We've posted some stories that families have shared with us, like the one on the left from Christina in Elkhart, Indiana, about how thankful she is with her cute picture of her little girl. But then something that we didn't anticipate, but we certainly were excited about, was then families started posting their own stories about, like Amber did on the right-hand side of the page, this program is phenomenal, my daughter is in it, and I'm super happy with the results. I'd recommend this to anyone. So that's extremely helpful, and parents tend to listen to what other parents are saying more than what someone tells them, someone that's had the experience. So we would certainly invite you to like our Facebook page, to share positive stories of things that are going on in your program with On My Way Pre-K, and to encourage your families if they have great stories to tell, or things that have, if they say something to you about how much their child has changed, encourage them to post about it on Facebook and share those positive stories. We have the next page will show you the coverage that we're getting with this Facebook page, and how much we can really reach out to a lot of individuals in this way. I would just really caution everyone, though, that we want to keep this as positive as possible. If there is a problem or an issue that needs to be addressed, we would ask that that be sent directly to our office or to your pre-K manager, or we don't want the Facebook page to become somewhere where people are airing their grievances. This is not the medium that we're looking for that. So please keep this positive, and we will be more than happy to talk with you if there are any issues or concerns, and deal with those outside of the Facebook page. So you'll see we have over 1,000 likes, and these statistics are a little old. We probably are closer to 1,500 at this point. But again, our Facebook page is On My Way Pre-K Indiana, and so if you search that on Facebook, you can find it and like it and follow us. But the number of people who engaged weekly with our page was over 48,000 people a week. So we really are able to reach large audiences with this information, and it really does help us to get the message out. And I don't think any of us would be really overly surprised to see that the majority of our demographics are women ages 25 to 44, which is typically the mothers are the ones out there seeking information about what's best, for their children at this point. But we do have a few men, and we have some male providers I know that are very active, so I don't want to count them out in any way. They did make up the other 8%, so that's exciting. So we really just wanted to touch base with all of you as providers to find out if there were other things that you might need to help us market the program. We have done a survey both years of On My Way Pre-K with parents, and one of our questions that we asked, we did a little short survey monkey, and we asked them, how did you find out about pre-K and On My Way Pre-K? And the number one answer both years has been my provider. And so we thank you for that very much. We couldn't do this without you and your help and helping us get the word out. But if there are other things that your community may need to help, please contact us. The last slide of this presentation has our contact information on it, and so you will be able to send us an email or let us know the things that you might need to support. We did expand to all counties this year, so we went from 5 to 20 to 92, and I still have the same budget that we're working under. We did not receive any additional funding, so our marketing is not going to be extremely robust because we're now using the same budget we had for 20 counties for 92. But I think there's a lot of ideas that people may have out there, and like we said, our Facebook page is growing, and those social media and electronic avenues may be our best bet, biggest bang for our buck. But again, I know I always like to ask you all, with your boots in the field and working with families on a day-to-day basis, if you have ideas. So please be sure to share those with us if you do. Just a couple of reminders that we can't guarantee you the number of vouchers that will come to your program for On My Way Pre-K. It is a family choice program. But But by all means, if you are sending families in and telling them about the program that you know about, we really are trying to reach new families. And we know there's a lot of 4-year-olds in the state of Indiana, and there are a lot that are not being served. So those are the ones we're really targeting with this program. So please encourage your families to recruit their friends if they have any that are not currently enrolled, or share the information with relatives, that type of thing. And then the other thing too is we can't share any personal information about the families. The best way for you to keep track of your grants and who is actually completed the process and enrolled is through the provider portal. That same portal where you check your CCDF vouchers. And the vouchers are all delineated between On My Way Pre-K and CCDF, so you can always find there where the families have completed the process. And then we do know that many of you assist families in the application process by setting up a computer in your vestibule or where the families are dropping off or picking up each day, and that is just amazing. We would certainly like for you to continue to do that, and if you haven't done that in the past, to consider maybe helping families do that this year. So let's talk about what's new for the 2020-21 pre-K year. We do have some new additional eligibility criteria for families that goes into effect this year. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We have a brand new online application. We've always had an online application for On My Way Pre-K, but we really have updated it, and I'm very excited to show you some of the different aspects of that application today. We also are going to get, because of that application and what it can do, we are hoping to get to some virtual appointments this year. So the family, if they complete the online application and upload the documents that are needed, they may not even have to step foot into the eligibility office. It could all be done through a phone call or virtually. We've also updated some of our policies, streamlined it to make it more family friendly and help the process along a little quicker. And we have some new additional community support positions that are helping us this year through the enrollment cycle. As I mentioned earlier, with some of the new contracts that are out with the community CCR&Rs and the technical and training assistance vendors, the CCR&Rs have both a family engagement specialist and a community engagement specialist in their buildings now to be working with us. So those community folks will be working on helping everyone learn about the program, and then the family engagement can help us with families actually filling out applications and enrolling. And then also all of our eligibility offices, formerly known as our intake offices, we are now calling them eligibility offices, have a community support position also, who will also be out ground level helping communities to understand the program and get families enrolled. So they, along with the county project managers and our staff, will definitely be working this year moving forward. And then, as we talked a little bit about our updated marketing plans, we have actually a new marketing firm this year that we're working with. So we're updating our marketing materials a little bit, and excited to see the new things that they're bringing to the table. So what's new for families? So for this year, a limited number of vouchers will be available for children who reside with a parent or guardian who is working or attending job training or an educational program, or who receives Social Security disability insurance or supplemental security income benefits and has an income up to 185% of the federal poverty level. So our current eligibility, which is a family income of up to 127% of federal poverty level, and parents working, going to school, or attending job training, will make up about 80% of our grants for this year. The other 20% could fall under this new eligibility requirement. And that is a legislated amount. It's not something that our office came up with. The legislation says that up to 20% of grants can cover individuals who meet these eligibility requirements. So again, if the family is working, attending job training or an educational program, and their income is up to 185%, so if it's higher than the 127 and lower than 185, they could be eligible. Or if they're receiving SSI or SSDI, then they could, they don't have to be working or going to school or attending a job training program, but it can exceed the 185% of federal poverty level. So that adds some additional eligibility criteria for families. Again, the 80% vouchers, the ones that are under our current eligibility, still meet the CCDF eligibility, so they will still be co-funded between CCDF and state funds. They can receive a minimum of 53 weeks, and if they need to start when they complete their application and enrollment process, they can. So if they need to start in April or May, we can start them that early because we have that requirement of them needing to work or go to school or training. And if they need somewhere for their child to go, that we can get that going. Many folks already have something going and don't want to start until August, and that's fine too. But that is an option if they meet the current eligibility requirements. Again, we will fund with the co-funding amounts through June 5th of 2021, and then those vouchers will flip over to school age other for the summer to continue, or reauthorize if their 53 weeks have expired or need to be reauthorized at that point. All of those vouchers are still full-time, and there is no family copay as there was last year. And the families will receive a Hoosier Works card to use with your POS machine for swiping for time and attendance. Now the new eligibility vouchers, those families will receive a minimum of 34 weeks and a maximum of 46 weeks. And that's based on, again, a legislated amount. The legislation says that we cannot pay more than $6,800 for these vouchers and no less than $2,500. So these vouchers may not begin before July 19th of 2020 and will be funded through June 5th. So if you count the weeks between July 19th and June 5th, that comes up to the 46 weeks. These vouchers are still all full-time. They're not based on when a family is working, how many hours they're working or going to school. They're all full-time. And there is still no family copay with this. And they will also receive a Hoosier Works card for attendance and use your POS machine to swipe each day. So really, we don't want this program to look any different other than the number of weeks that we are allowed to support them with state dollars. Now, the family wants to start before July 19th and works something out with you to do that. As a parent pay, that's fine, or after June 5th. Those are just the dates that the state can fund the grant. So what's new for you as a program? Again, there hasn't been much change to the current eligibility for On My Way vouchers. Those vouchers are still based on the county market rate or your cost, whichever is less. And they're, again, co-funded, and families may reauthorize and continue on CCDF funding for before and after school with kindergarten if they're eligible. If a child attends 25 hours or more per week, you would receive that full reimbursement amount. And if they attend half, or if they attend less than 25 hours per week, you would get half of that reimbursement payment. Just the same way that it's always worked for On My Way this year and for CCDF. There has been some confusion about the On My Way pre-K county market rates. They are If you look at the CCDF market rate and the On My Way pre-K county market rate, you'll note that the On My Way rate is about 10% more than the CCDF rate. And we did that because we know we're asking you to do family engagement activities and assessments and different things within the program. And so we wanted to reward programs for doing that. If your market rate is less than the On My Way pre-K county market rate, we will still add an additional up to 10% to your payment amount. There's nothing that you have to do. When you fill out the provider page, you still put down your weekly amount for a 4-year-old child in your program. The same, because you can't charge more for On My Way than you do for a parent pay or CCDF. And then our system will automatically add that if your rate is lower than the market rate. So I know there's been some confusion with that. So say your rate is $200 for a 4-year-old in your program, but your county market rate is $250 for On My Way. We would add $20, so you would get $220 for that child instead of the $200, because we didn't exceed the $250. So hopefully that helps explain that a little better. Now, when we're looking at these new eligibility vouchers, and again, we're only looking at about 20% of our vouchers being under these. These are based on those limits of $6,800 and $2,500 that were set by legislation. So, and these funds, because these individuals are above 127% and our SSI, SSDI are not working or going to school, they don't meet CCDF eligibility. So they are totally state funded and not co-funded with CCDF dollars. So that's why these vouchers are funded for up to the 46 weeks and not less than 34 weeks. So what we did was we set a max reimbursement payment of $147.82 for all grants, no matter your county, your provider type, your PTQ level, or your current rate. Every child that's enrolled with this eligibility will receive this payment if they attend 25 hours or more per week. And if they attend less than 25 hours per week, they would get half of that reimbursement, or $73.91. So there's just a flat rate for all of these children. So if your current provider rate is less than $147.82, you will still get $147.82 per week for these children. If it's more, then that's a conversation that you have with the family, just like you do if any of your rates are higher than the county market rate, of how that overage will be handled. Sorry, another little blurry picture here, but when you take pictures of things and put them on a slide, it doesn't always come out the best. But I wanted to give you an idea of what the new On My Way pre-K provider page looks like. This is what the parent would ask you to fill out, or possibly the intake eligibility office ask you to fill out. The On My Way provider form will still be On My Way on the front and CCDF on the back in case families need both. So there's only one form. So be sure to note that if it's applicable. We changed the orientation. It was portrait and we made it landscape. So it gives you a little more room to fill things in and put your information on the page. And we've taken off the parent signature requirement for the On My Way provider form because, again, we're trying to streamline things and make it easier. And if the family is at the eligibility office and they need a provider form, the eligibility office can fax this over to you and you can fax it right back and they can still get their grant finished up while the family's there. So hopefully that helps streamline the processes a little bit. So here's our timeline for the 2020-21 pre-K year. As I said, this month in February we have been going statewide to do these meetings. and get your new provider eligibility agreements signed. We will be launching our new online application next month in March. Looking to do that mid-March, and then once families start applying on April 1st, we begin a priority enrollment process, and this is for those who meet the current eligibility criteria. And these dates were all legislated dates. They're not dates that FSSA came up with, but this is all legislated dates of when this is to begin. So all families can begin enrolling in March, and we will be pulling then out those applications that meet the current eligibility criteria to enroll in April and May. And then starting June 1st, we will go and begin an extended enrollment process, pulling in those individuals with the additional new criteria. All of the applications will be date and time stamped so they can be served on a first come, first served basis. So if those new eligibility folks apply in March, they probably have the best option of being then called in June, as funds are available and we're doing first come, first serve. So I would really encourage parents to apply early. If you get nothing else out of this than that, because of the first come, first serve basis, and they will be in that queue in a date and time stamped state so that we can pull them in the order in which they apply. Then we will continue enrollment until our funds are expended, and that really varies each year depending on the number of applications that we receive and the number of individuals that we enroll as we move along that are eligible. So I can't give you a specific end date, but those are the dates. We will start applications mid-March. We'll start enrollment April 1st. Those first families that fill out applications in March will be called in April. Continue April and May with our current eligibility, and then starting in June, we'll weave in the new eligibility folks and start enrolling along those lines. Again, when we talk about 20% of our grants going to this new eligibility, if we enroll the same number that we did around last year, the 3517, we're really looking at around 700 children statewide that we would be able to enroll with this new eligibility. So I'm excited now to show you some slides of our new family application. It is called Early Ed Connect, and I just have some screenshots. I will tell you these are from a testing site, so they're not completely updated, but it will give you an idea of what it looks like. And then hopefully we'll have them up and running soon. So this is the landing page. It didn't copy very well on this presentation, but I apologize. But you'll see here there are two options to create my account or sign in. When a family is starting, they will click on create my account just like they do on any online application. And that create my account will take them to a page where they fill in their information. And you'll notice we've updated it to be more family friendly. We no longer call them an applicant or a co-applicant. It's now my first name, my last name, my address, that type of thing. So we're tried to make it a little more family friendly. One of the really cool features of this application is when the family is filling this portion out and they get down and they put in their address and their city and state, it actually takes them over to a post office page that will verify their address and automatically populate their county on their application. It's extremely important that we have their correct county so that we know which eligibility office they should work with. And we got a lot of applications with USA as written in as the county. So we wanted to make sure that, or we got the wrong county for some people. So we wanted to make sure that we were getting the right county. So we were checking those addresses. So that's a really cool feature. You also notice up at the top in the middle, there's a button, Español. If you click on that button, the entire application switches over to Spanish. And you can toggle back and forth between English and Spanish for the application to complete it. So that's a really nice feature for our Spanish-speaking communities. Then you continue on in the application. There's some, these are the final questions we ask, and these are just some federal reporting questions that we are needing to do. I'm going to go back a couple of pages to the beginning because I don't know if this slide showed it very well or not. But if you'll notice, it says apply online for On My Way Pre-K or Child Care Assistance. So this application is not only for On My Way Pre-K, but any new families that are applying for CCDF will also be using this application. And the application will then tell them if they're eligible for either program. And if they have a 4-year-old, then it will kick them over into the On My Way Pre-K bucket if we are in our enrollment cycle at the time when they're filling out this application. So that's another really exciting feature that we're pleased to announce. We had lots of families that were applying for On My Way Pre-K that also had other children that they wanted to apply for and had to fill out 2 applications. So we've really streamlined that process for them, so they just have the 1 application to complete. So after you have completed those additional questions, and each time you complete a page, you just hit next and it automatically saves. Or if you're like a lot of families that have young children, you get started on the application and something happens and you have to stop, you can always save it and come back, and you can start where you left off. So you don't have to start all over again. This is one of the coolest features of this new application is families are actually able to upload documents that are needed to verify their eligibility. So this is where I said before, where hopefully our goal is to get to virtual appointments if that's what the family would like to do. So they never have to miss work or try to work their schedule around to get in for an appointment to finish up their voucher. So if a family clicks on the upload new document, and there's been verbiage added to this page to tell them the types of documents, like their identity, to verify their identity and their residence, that they live in Indiana, those types of things. Then they take a picture, or they find it on a file that they have, and they choose the file and upload it, and it comes over. What else is great about this is this application is completely mobile friendly, so they can do the whole thing on their cell phone. We've tried it on all kinds of cell phones, and we're able to work and upload these documents with all of them. So once they've uploaded the document, it shows them the type of document that they chose, who it's for, what the file name was, the date that it was received, and the status that it's actually uploaded. If for some reason it did not upload, it would say incomplete, so they would know they would have to go back and try again. They can also view what they uploaded, so they can make sure that they didn't upload a picture of their child's birthday instead, pick the wrong file on their phone or whatever. They can delete it and redo it if that's the case, and they can continue to upload documents. So that the eligibility office can then verify the information that they've put on their application. This is a very secure site. Want to assure people that these documents are uploaded into a secure site and transferred into a secure site, so there is no way that others could see the information that is on the documents that they're uploading. You do not have to upload documents to submit an application. It is just a feature of this application to help the process to go a little faster. If families prefer to have an appointment and bring their documents in and sit down and meet with an eligibility officer, then that's certainly acceptable and something that we will always offer families. But we also want to offer them this option to make it more streamlined for their schedules, and we know how busy they are. So then once they've hit submit and their application is complete, they will get this submission result that they have submitted their application successfully and that their application has been received by their local eligibility office. If for any reason they are not eligible, it will tell them on this submission result that at this time, from the information that you have entered, it appears you are not eligible for our program. And it gives them their eligibility office to contact if they have any questions, or they can go back and update their application. Once they have completed their application, on the application page, you will see that there is now a case number assigned to that application. And this is the case number that links this application to the eligibility office's system where they actually create the voucher. Previously, with our old online application, we had the parent filled out the application online, and then the eligibility office had to go in and print off that application and hand enter everything into their system so they could create the voucher. The two systems weren't connected in any way. We've now been able to connect these two systems and determine that when the family completes this application. So if the family's ever trying to find out anything about their application, please have them use this case number when they're speaking with their eligibility office. That will make it the easiest for the eligibility office to look them up and find out the status or if there's an issue with their application. You'll see they have a status of submitted received, so they know that everything went through and it's all everything's been received. If it was not, again, that status would be different, and they could go back and correct anything that needed to be corrected. And then also, if they chose not to upload documents at their time of submission, maybe they were completing the application somewhere and they didn't have the documents with them, they can go ahead and submit that application without the documents and come back here on their application page and upload those documents. So again, those date and time stamps are going to be pretty critical as to when we call people in on a first come first served basis. So if folks are filling out applications at your site as they're picking their child up or dropping somebody off and they don't have a birth certificate or something with them, encourage them to go ahead and submit the application and then come back and upload the documents when they get home, or they have the documents with them. They can also update their contact information on this application, and it will update their contact information in both of our systems. We've had a lot of trouble reaching families once they fill out an application. Sometimes we can't even find them to get them in to see if they're eligible and complete their vouchers. So this is a really nice feature where families can go in and update their address or their phone number or any of their contact information, and that's all done. It all comes out over here in the About Me area of the application over on the upper left hand corner, and you'll see right under the On My Way Pre-K star. So if you know your family has moved or they have a new phone number or something has changed, please remind them to go in and update that information on this application. And that can be done anytime during the year. They will also receive an email saying that they have submitted their application successfully or it was not eligible. And then it also has some hyperlinks in here to contact their eligibility office or to, if they need help finding a provider, then they can also click on the hyperlink for CareFinder. So that's our new application. I'm really excited to see how families respond to it and how it really helps our enrollment process go smoother this year. So would appreciate everybody's help in getting people to get online and get that completed. We're going to talk a little bit about our updated provider application and agreements. Because of our new eligibility criteria, we have updated both our new applications and agreements for the 2020-21 school year. So, and we are going to provide a link on our website for the provider agreement with this, where you found this webinar to listen to. So there will be these slides, a copy of the slides, and then a copy of your provider agreement there that you'll need to download and sign and either fax or scan to us. And again, that information will be on the last slide of this presentation of where you can fax or scan it. We do need everyone to sign a new agreement by at least April 1st if you would like to participate. Families will begin enrolling in April, so we need to make sure that we have our system updated of who is eligible as an On My Way pre-K provider, and you must have a signed agreement on file to be eligible. You have the option to serve all families at 127% up to 185%. And receive those reimbursements. Just knowing those will vary. We just want to make sure that you're well informed about that. So the provider agreement on the first page has an area for you to mark that you're willing to accept both of those kinds of eligibility. The program dates that are on the front page of that provider agreement are your pre-K program dates. Remember that the new eligibility can't start before July 19th. That doesn't mean if your program doesn't start until August, then that's fine. Put August. You don't have to start in July. If it starts before July, as we spoke about before, the state funding can't start until July. So you would have to work out arrangements with the family for that. So just put your actual program dates on there. If you're a year-round program and it's August of 2020 to August of 2021, and that's fine. Those are not the dates that you'll necessarily be paid for. Those are the dates of your pre-K program. There is still the legislated mandates for the Family Engagement Toolkit and activities in the provider agreement. So those are still a part of the agreement. And there is still a requirement for the kindergarten readiness assessment. The language in the agreement has been changed now that the iStar KR is no longer the State Board of Education adopted KRI. They actually have adopted a new KRI as of September 4th of 2019. They adopted a kindergarten readiness indicator that was presented to them for consideration. And there's a link here, a hyperlink on here that you can go to find out more information about the adoption of that KRI that was presented. It is legislated that On My Way pre-K programs administer the State Board of Education adopted KRI, so that is why we are no longer requiring the iStar KR, and will now be working to get this one up and running for this school year. The goal was really to find something that was easy to administer with good reliability, and right now the only thing that it is looking at is literacy, oral language, and math skills. The University of Chicago is the entity that has put this KRI together, and they did tie it to the Indiana Early Learning Standards for English Language Arts and Mathematics. So it is at least aligned to those for Indiana. This tool provides indicators of readiness and aggregate data. It's only on a state or program city level, and only 6 content areas will be covered by this KRI: letter names, letter sounds, rhyming proficiency, and sentence comprehension for English Language Arts, and numeracy and spatial skills for mathematics. You'll notice this kindergarten readiness indicator is really not the same thing that most of us look at as an assessment. When you are comparing this with like even the iStar KR, you know we ask you to do the iStar KR at the beginning of the year and at the end of the year so we could see growth for the child. This is a one-time assessment. It's only done to show if the child's ready to go to kindergarten. So it's only done at the end of the year. And you don't get child level data. So it's not something that you can share with families, or it's not something that you can track the child's progress throughout the year on. So you still will need some form of assessment as a level 3 or 4 provider that is tracking that for the child and giving you information that you can share with families. So it really just kind of need to think of this a little differently. It's the first rendition, the first year. We just got it and are trying to work through hopefully how, what it can do, what it can't do, and how we can help it to grow throughout the years as we move forward. As I said, this program or this KRI is mandatory for those programs who have On My Way Pre-K students enrolled for the 2019-2020 school year. So if you don't have any On My Way students yet, then you do not have anything to do this year. But those of you who do have On My Way students enrolled in your program this year will need to perform this KRI for those students. You may use this KRI for all of your pre-K students, all of your 4-year-old students. There is no cost, but we can only mandate that you do it for the On My Way funded children. There will be training required for any teacher who's administering the assessment, and that training will be offered both in person and via Indiana Learning Paths online. So we are trying to make it as easy as possible for teachers to complete this training and offering it both in an in-person and online option. Then once they've completed the training, they have to be certified in order to administer the assessment. And again, that certification can either occur in person or virtually, whichever is most convenient for the teacher. These trainings will be offered at no cost to the educator. And again, we will try to get them in as many times as possible that will not require them to be out of their classroom. We are finalizing the training at this point. We were hoping to be able to provide the training in February, with this being the 27th. We are not there yet, so it's looking like we'll probably be providing that training in March, and then asking you to complete those assessments in April. I don't have timelines yet. As soon as everything is finalized, please watch your emails. I will be blasting out the information to everyone to let you know the dates and times of those in-person trainings and the links for the virtual trainings so that you can get those done in a timely manner. It shouldn't take a long time to complete, but again, as we get more information and find out more, we will get that information out to you as quickly as possible. Again, this is a mobile web-based application that guides the teacher through the KRI items as it collects and stores the responses. So it can be done on a computer or a tablet or an iPad, cell phone, any of those would work. The teacher, a question comes up electronically, the teacher clicks on the response of the child, that question goes away and a new question comes up. So again, it's not something that you'll see the whole thing on one page. It's just a really quick 12 to 15 minute per student back and forth questions and responses that the teacher is doing. Again, we are working really hard to make sure that there is no cost to programs for this assessment. We are absorbing most of the cost for that. The only thing that we could think of that might come up that you might need to support your teachers with is a substitute for them to attend the training. But again, we are offering those virtually and at times where we're hoping that that's not the case, but just wanted to keep that in the back of everyone's minds. There are some materials and manipulatives that are required for the assessment, but those will all be provided to you at no charge. If for any reason your program feels that you do not either have the appropriate device or a reliable internet connection, we will be able to grant you a waiver for this year. We will also attach a waiver form to the same page where you found this webinar. So if you need to download and sign that, then you can email it to prek@fssa.in.gov or fax it to 317-234-6905. Again, if you don't have a computer or you don't have a reliable internet connection where you feel that you would be able to do a 12 to 15 minute assessment, all you have to do this year is sign that waiver. And again, this is only for programs that have children currently enrolled for the 2019-2020 school year. The only other thing that I wanted to cover in the webinar was the match requirement. On My Way Pre-K has always had a match requirement that has been legislated from the beginning, that each grant would have at least a 5% match for the tuition that is paid for that child. And that those match requirements would come from donations, gifts, vouchers, bequests, and other funds, and could be received from a private entity, the government, or other sources. The only place it cannot come from is On My Way Pre-K funds or other state funding. For our current grants that we have, again, I've kept this in a table for you to see our current eligibility and our additional eligibility. Because those grants, our current grants are co-funded, we're only calculating the match on the portion of the grant that is paid with state funds. So approximately 30% of current grants are funded through On My Way Pre-K, and the other 70% are funded through CCDF funds. So the match dollars, for example, if your tuition for a year is a nice round $10,000, 30% of that is $3,000, and 5% of that is $150 for the year for that grant. We never collect match dollars up front. We always calculate the match dollars at the end of the On My Way Pre-K year on the exact state dollars that were paid for that voucher. On these new eligibility criteria, because they are completely state funded, 100%, that match amount will have to be calculated on the full voucher amount. So again, worst case scenario, if the child attends 46 weeks at the $147.82 and the reimbursement is $6,799.72 because it couldn't be more than $6,800, then the 5% match would be around $340 for the year for that child. So just wanted to bring everybody up to date on that. Because of the little difference in funding with these two different match, with these two types of vouchers, wanted to make sure that was up and out front for everyone to see. Now we know the original 20 pilot counties who have applied to participate as a county match, to provide that county match, have provided that in the past, and have not heard from any of them that they are not continuing to do that. Programs outside those counties, please let us know if you need help with a match. You can provide the match for a child if you choose to do so, or can go to a community organization and ask them to do it, or we are more than willing to help with those conversations. Or remember, we have these additional community support people in both our CCR&R and our intake eligibility offices that can help us to make those connections with different organizations to help support those match dollars in the outlying counties. We have many counties that are forming early learning coalitions and other agencies who have offered to provide support match requirements. So please contact either Sean or Nicole in our office if you have questions about match dollars or need help in finding us some community support with that. We definitely want to work with that. So that is the end of our presentation today. I have incorporated information that has come up in questions throughout our February meetings and face-to-face in this webinar, so that hopefully I have answered some of the questions that you might have. But if you have questions, that were not answered by this webinar, feel free to email them to pre-K at fssa.in.gov, or you can fax them to us at 317-234-6905. Again, any of the forms that you need to send to us, either your provider agreement or the waiver form for the KRI, you can either scan or fax those to us. Remember, we need those provider agreements as close to April 1st as possible. If you're not in the system April 1st when families start enrolling, they won't be able to choose you as a provider and could end up choosing someone else. So we just want to make sure we get that date out there. We will be sharing our launch date for the new online application as soon as that is finalized. So watch your email for that information, and our Facebook page. Please remember to go on and like us, follow us, because the latest information will definitely be posted there. Also, onmywayprek.org is still the best place for information about this program. We will be updating that website with all of our new information. And please just remember, we are always here to help and want to make this process as easy as possible. We thank you for your time. We thank you for your support. We thank you for being the #1